Hey guys, this is John with the Alpha Channel update for Sunday, May 12th, 2024. And I've got a bunch of stuff here I want to show you. These are the Punisher, the first 5 that Marvel Comics put out. Just floppies. These are some awesome comics. They're so simple. A lot of the interiors are just so simple with this. They didn't get insane. This is Mike Zack on pencils. Silly ads back in the day. The story just hums along. The art's good. I don't think he even puts on the outfit until the very end of this episode. So, the Punisher, part of what's so awesome about the Punisher is the character. And characters are what make comics. Character drives the story. If you don't have a good character, you don't have a story. If the character's not interesting, the story won't be interesting. That very rarely happens. So this is just amazing work. This is back when Marvel was good, when it meant something. And God, I wanted to work. I wanted to work for Marvel so bad. I got to write for them for a bit, but never got paid by them, so I was never technically an employee. But a pale comparison of what they are now, what they are now is a pale comparison of what they were then. And so this is a big part of what I want to talk about today. I've noticed that I put all kinds of silly titles in these that I don't necessarily follow through with. The social contract in comics was one that I don't think I elaborated enough on. Gratitude in comics was one I don't think I elaborated enough on. But today I want to talk about what are you looking forward to? You, what are you looking forward to? I used to look forward to New Comics Day every week. So hard. It meant everything. This was where all the good stuff was. And it was secret. Nobody else had it. Like only a few kids in school read comics or knew about them or cared. Most kids had plenty of other things to keep them busy. And now so even more. Now so anything that's secret isn't just secret, it's, God, if you're in Canada, they'll put you in prison for life for reading the wrong stuff, for thinking the wrong thing. So, yeah, like I said, these have been pretty disjointed, but I do want to talk about how much character drives the story and how much looking forward to things matters, especially when you're a kid and even as an adult. As an adult, you like to, it's great to arrange your life so that every day is fulfilling and satisfying in some way. Job you don't hate doing, people you don't hate around you. That makes a big difference. But what you do with your time, it's not so much what you have to show for it to other people, it's what you have to show for it to yourself. This is, again, I keep coming back to that idea of who you want to be versus what you want to have. And that comes down to what you spend your time doing. If you spend your time having, you're not being. I know this is all metaphysical, and it's really late. It's still technically Sunday. It's not Monday yet. Tomorrow is a holiday, so I hope my neighbors will forgive me. And without my glasses, I have a hard time reading some of this stuff. But I had mentioned social contract, and I don't think I explored that enough, and I do want to talk about that before I show off this little bit of art I've got for today and some of this other stuff. The social contract in comics. What do you get out of comics by being invested in this community? This was supposed to be an aspirational community, not ass, which is what it is now. It's supposed to be an aspirational community where people are living up to their best selves. And a lot of people who set a very high bar early on in their careers. Look, it's tough. Life is hard. No one's always at their best. I'm certainly not going to call anyone out for any mistakes they've made. They're, great artists. No one should be judged on their personal life for producing art. But that's what the world has become because people, like I mentioned the other day, want to consider the source. So that's the social contract. Marvel is now hiring some questionable people to write and draw comics in search for a different perspective. And I suppose sales will reflect that. again, this is I don't have a bone in this fight. I'm not working at Marvel. I should never even say their names. So as much as I love these comics, they're not producing this kind of work anymore. And the next time I go to a comic book store, it'll be to the back issue section. There's a few comic book stores right near where I live here in LA that have great back issue sections. Comics Factory in Pasadena, spent a lot of money there. Galaxy out here, Heidi Ho in Santa Monica. Earth 2 doesn't have much of a back issue section, but they do have. I went to Earth 2 on Ventura, and they had a great sale a few years ago where they opened up a back room that I bought a ton of key issues. There's not a bad comic book shop in LA. A lot of them closed. Secret Headquarters, I think Meltdown's closed. Golden Apple's a much smaller version of what it used to be. And is that because the medium is dying, or is that because the social contract in comics has been broken? And that we're being lectured to by people who are trying to educate us or improve us. When I briefly wrote for Marvel Comics, it was one of the worst working experiences of my life. And that's a big reason why I want to do a studio and not just work for hire, not just produce art. A lot of artists work at home and never see or speak to anyone. One of the things I got to experience working here in Los Angeles as an editor was everyone is there at the shop. The camera people are at the shop, and they tell you what they went out and shot during the day. There's a whole social, the writers are there, everyone's interacting with each other. Post-production's there, the producers are there, sound guys are there. That is just 5 different departments, and we're all hanging out and talking, going to the same parties on the weekends. That was a great social thing to have in your early 30s, late 20s. And I'd always thought comics was like that, but it's not. Comic book artists work at home. They don't talk to anyone. I remember hearing that Terry Moore and somebody else, I don't remember which artist, forgive me, they would do conference calls at night while they drew, just to hang out, to have someone to talk to. I couldn't have imagined that was the circumstances, but it makes sense, A great artist isn't going to go somewhere to hang out with people to do their pages. That's nonsense. They're going to do it at home. It was a childish idea in my head that working at Marvel Comics would be like hanging out with your best friends, making comic books all day. That's not what it is. That might be some of the animation studios where the animation producers, the keyframe artists work together and they have their own cubicles. And you see that in kind of behind the scenes stuff for like Batman the animated series or some of the Marvel animated series. My friend Jay, who I showed off the Ashley Fox comic, got to do storyboards for Marvel animation when he was still 18 on the Incredible Hulk, the very short-lived Incredible Hulk series. And with the lessons he learned, he still shares with me all the time how to do stairs so you don't have to draw the perspective, all sorts of cheats like that to make this, because look, these are fast. The art moves quick. They don't waste a ton of time on backgrounds. It's all character. This is like USA, characters welcome, right? Like they did a good job. Burn Notice, some of those shows for, oh my God, I hope I didn't leave this completely not on the screen and I have to back up and redo this. Some of those shows were really pretty good. There was a period of time in the 2000s where serialized television was almost comic book level. And things have changed. I mean, the A-Team was good back in the day. That was basically PG. And this is, I wrote down a few things I want to talk about. Tonight might be longer than shorter. So the social contract is important. The social contract, I believe, in comics with the audience is broken. The social contract between society is broken. That's what I was talking about before. Envy and spite rules the world right now. But in independent comics, the social contract is still there. And it's an aspirational thing now. People are building what they want. What wasn't really there to begin with. And I think this is the technology that we all have, that we've been graced with. So yeah, I needed a little break. I'm going to have to back up. Social contracting comics is being built on the independent side. There's been some drama. There's been a lot of drama, a lot of blow-ups, a lot of people fighting with each other. There's some people there that I have opinions about that I don't have a right to have an opinion about. There's been some drama there that I've heard about that I probably don't have all the information about, that I've formed opinions about people that I don't have a right to. And this whole thing is a life lesson for me. This is important. This is society moving forward. Things are changing. You have to consider the source in everything now. So that's why I'm showing this stuff off. That's why I want to highlight how good this was, how much I looked forward to this as a kid growing up, and what is there to look forward to nowadays. The next movies, the way they get promoted, there's constantly novelty, what Cliff High calls novelty. You guys should check out Cliff High on Substack, CLIFHIGH. He's genius. When it comes to research for comic book stuff, he's got some really awesome ideas. If you wanted any sort of sci-fi, fantasy ideas. And I've got something else I want to show off too. This is for Joe Fields, Gifted Hater. This is for you. I got to pick up some sci-fi fantasy stuff, but this book by Orson Scott Card, How to Write Science Fiction and Fantasy, you guys should have do a logo like this. I love your brand. Joe Fields is a skater. He has a podcast, not a podcast. He has a channel called Gifted Hater where he posts long form videos every couple weeks, couple months. He's pretty awesome. So social contract, gratitude. What are you looking forward to? That's what comics was for me. It was all those things. It was the social. It was where. Look, I heard the. There's again. It's hard for me not to drop names because I am caught up in all this comic book drama. But as a kid, for me, I read tons of this. Like I said, I had a small car's worth of comic books in my garage. And I had just as much in terms of actual novels and books that I sold through Iliad Books and left out behind their doors, giveaways. I've read everything. Really, I'm a voracious reader. Even right now, I'm devouring stuff on audiobook. I don't really spend a lot of time actually with a novel in hand, but I do listen to a ton of audiobooks. I'm ripping through the Warhammer series. God, I can't even think about, I've got so many that are just, some of them, a lot of stuff is garbage now, and I don't even listen to all of it. I listen to half of it. I never used to do that. Ray Bradbury was the first author who, once I started his catalog, I didn't finish it. There was a short story book with a story about a dwarf that I just couldn't get through. It broke my, I'm not gonna say it broke my heart. I was disgusted by it. I didn't want to read it. It was bad. I didn't like it. And that was the first time I said to myself, look, I'm not wasting any more time on this. And the second one was William Faulkner, Sound and the Fury. God, what an awful book. But this I picked up at the science fiction group club. It's supposed to be autographed. I've never opened it before. Maybe I got scammed. Oh. Is that an autograph? Is it? Is that an autograph? Is that supposed to be an autograph? Maybe I did get scammed. Like I said, I never opened it. Maybe the marker was bad that day. You've been a member of the science fiction club. It's out here. I only got to go once because I mostly have worked nights pretty much most of my career. But yeah, what are you looking forward to? What are you looking forward to? If you've got a wife and family, you've got the job of that. But if you're just trying to get through the week and get through the day, you got to find something to look forward to. And for me, it's been, for a long time, drawing. It was Kung Fu school for a long time. This turned out not so bad. This is a first draft of a pine tree. And I don't like how busy it is. I have to learn how to do the pine needles and whatnot in sort of 3 dimensions so that it can feel like the limbs coming toward you. But it was good for a day. So yeah, I know I'm kind of rambling. I'm going to try and sum up again. Gratitude. I couldn't be more thankful for all this stuff. Comic books, skating, technology. Super grateful for everyone who's posting all the little life experiences I'm getting to watch you guys go through. And I especially want to say thank you to Ricky Glazer, Mowgli, and Chris McNugget, and Aaron Cairo at Braille. Braille gets a bad rap in the skateboarding community, and I understand why. They embraced something before a lot of other people, and it still hasn't finished playing out. There's some drama going on right now between some of the former members, and I hope that all gets sorted. I love you guys. All the YouTube skaters are going to be in the comic as background extras. I wouldn't go so far as to put any of you in as named characters. I think that's crossing a line. But if you see someone skating by in the background who looks like you, maybe I'll put in a bibliography and name everybody. I love all you guys. I'm blown away by how cool it is to get to watch everything you do. So, and the same thing with all the comic skate guys, all the art live streamers. There's the guy drawing Horace H. Hoover. I'm going to murder your name because I'm not looking it up. I didn't even know I was going to say thank you. Fabiano Ariello? Fabianza Ariello, maybe? Horace H. Hoover. I think he's on live stream number 50 of him drawing and inking his own comic with a brush. Just so much incredible art. I love it. It's inspiring. It's something to look forward to. Now all I have to do is wake up to have something to look forward to. I used to have to wait. These came out a month apart. We used to have to wait to go to the comic book store and buy enough stuff to tide us over until we could save up enough money to go back and then read it 2 and 3 and 4 times because it was all we had, and it was great and it was good, and just there was so much stuff that was great about being a kid growing up in this country that is now it feels like being destroyed deliberately by a select group of people who are just envious and spiteful. And that's all that's going on. There's plenty of diversity and, what's the opposite of race hatred? There's plenty of people being friends with each other that you don't have to do all this drama nonsense. Come on, you're trying to disenfranchise white people. That's all you're doing. We all know it. And then again, I'm speaking to the enemies, and I don't want to be talking to you. I want to be talking to everybody else. But I know you're listening. I know you run the system. You're the Matrix. It's like Neo telling you that I'm going to wake up as many people as I can to what you're doing. That's kind of what these videos are. Oh, and I did want to talk about finding your audience. And that's a big reason why I'm doing these videos. I want you guys, I need to do this every show. You need to check out Legacy of a Mad Scientist on this channel. It's 13 hours long, and it is an audiobook about Andrew Fox in the future, and he is a genius inventor, and he creates something called blue goo, polynanasynthetic stem cells that can heal any injury. And then he creates another thing called the Micronics. I'm looking around for it to see if I have it here. I think I do know where it is. The Micronics is a mental telepathy computer connection device. MCX, mind-computer interface. So that is the bulk of that first story, Legacy of a Mad Scientist, and it's about the implications and what happens when you have a device like that. And the second story is The Legend of Ashley Fox, and that is about his daughter, Ashley Fox, and how she navigates the future when her parents are attacked by the government and she and her little brother have to go on the run. So they're great adventures, they're epic adventures, they are 13 hours each, 26 hours of great science fiction here on YouTube. And the reason I wrote those was because I discovered that I was drawing myself into dead ends, and that learning to draw and learning to write at the same time was trying to tackle too much. So I had a choice. I could either go find someone else's script and dedicate myself to drawing that, or like a lot of guys did, write your own until you get picked up by Marvel or something and then do someone else's scripts. I wanted stories. That's what I went after. That's what I focused on. And that was what I did. And so, I mentioned earlier, I did get to write for Marvel for a while. I got to submit them original content. This is another, I'm glad I remembered this. This is a social contract issue in comics and in art and in business in the war of business and art. This is what goes on out here in Los Angeles. And if you did not move out here, if you're an artist, a comic book professional, and you have not gone through this, let me explain some of the traps you have avoided. So I went to animation school at Art Institute of Los Angeles in Santa Monica. We had some incredible instructors who had gone to Art Institute in Valencia, Art Institute of California. It's called CIA, California Institute of the Arts. And one guy worked for The Simpsons. He was an animator for The Simpsons, a storyboard artist, a keyframe. I don't know if they did keyframes here in the States. I'm sure they did. And then the tweens were done in Korea or something like that. But so they taught us at this school. This was like a trade school, a tech school. And it never got accredited. So my degree was never allowed to transfer over to any of the other schools. And these guys, they really recommended that I go to somewhere like California Institute of the Arts, but I would have had to start over. All of my credits from the school I had just gone to would have counted for nothing, and I needed a job, so I went and got a job. And I found out later that at California Institute of the Arts, they even told me, as a matter of fact, they said, no, don't worry about it, dude. You don't have to go. It only takes 3 years, and you don't have to go for the whole 3 years. If you're good, you won't graduate. And I was like, what do you mean, if you're good, you won't graduate? They said, Disney hires everyone before they, but they hire you right out of school. If you're good, they'll look at your work and you'll go right to work for Disney or Marvel or DreamWorks or wherever. Now that is a trap. What happens, as a matter of fact, what they said, if you graduate from Cal Arts, you'll never get a job. Because that means that they'd all looked at your portfolio and decided you weren't good enough. So that means you have to get there and either improve really fast or be good enough when you get there. And I wasn't honestly sure my art was good. They were sure my art was good. And my theory was, if my art's that good, I should be able to make it anyhow. And my second theory was, what they're really doing is trapping you. Because, yes, I guess you'll get to know people, but the world is still that place where if you don't have a degree and you left college early, that's generally frowned upon. And so now you're out at Disney, no degree. You'd have to go back to school. Here's why this is relevant. Because later I heard the same thing. Once I was out working for a promotions company, I didn't go right to work for the studios. I went to work for like a third-party promotions company that gets hired by the studios to do ads for the commercials for the shows and stuff, and campaigns we were doing DVD launch campaigns and stuff like that. And someone explained to me there that the way Disney does posters for their movies, now this is the way all of this, so you heard about school and how they jack you on your portfolio and your student loans and you end up working for them with no degree. So you're not qualified to be working for them, but you're working for them. And you have to stay there because no one else can really hire you because you don't have a degree, etc., etc. This is sort of a game that they play. Now listen to what they do with posters and graphics people. When Disney has a movie coming out, they send composites of the characters in different scenes to all the different advertising houses in Los Angeles and New York and ask them to submit comps for a poster. And the graphics houses will submit 2 or 3 just quick composites of the main characters in a different background and send them over to Disney in hopes that they'll get the job to do the poster. They're really honored just to do the comp, right? Disney will then look at all of those, select the ones they like best, take their artists, tell them to put them together, while telling their artists that you're garbage, you're nowhere near as good as these advertising houses. Look at all the work they do. These people are awesome. Here's what we want you to do. Just take the best and put it together. We know that you didn't graduate and that you're really not that good, but these people are awesome. So they play this game with you back and forth. I remember I was working for them through a temp agency, and we came in on a Friday afternoon, and they told us, okay, so tomorrow's Saturday, and if you can't show up tomorrow, just don't even bother coming in on Sunday because you won't have a job. We'll have someone new here Monday. So the first day you get there is you're working Saturday and Sunday, and if you don't show up, we'll replace you in 24 hours. And there was nothing wrong with the world the way there is today. There's no wars going on. No one was calling out the small hats for being thieves and being corrupt and, doing things in the sewers they shouldn't be doing. So this was when their secret empire was in full swing. This is the shortest secret empire the world has ever known. These people, God, they're incompetent. They're so incompetent. And so again, this is my pine tree I did today. I'm going to work on that some more tomorrow. But yeah, social contract. Everything out of here is secrets and lies. You can't trust anyone. You can't trust their budgets. Most of what they're doing is anti-white propaganda and not stuff I'd want to be involved in anyhow. So I'm going to have much more fun doing my own thing, finding my own audience. This is another thing I want to talk about, finding your audience. What I've learned watching YouTube and watching how all of this stuff works, it's really watching some of these pretty girls do reaction videos. I have no interest in Jewish-owned OnlyFans. It's, rabbi owns Pornhub. There's a reason why the degeneracy in our culture is what it is. What I really like is watching pretty girls watch movies they've never seen before. There was a saying when I was a kid, I'd watch her read the phone book. And, some of these girls could have been movie stars in their own right, but they would have never made it through the Hollywood casting couches. And so they're getting to, I'm watching these girls react to movies that I know by heart, like Predator, Apocalypse Now, Full Metal Jacket, and they've never seen them before, which I find a little bit hard to believe, but also, I know how girls are. It's entirely possible that they've never seen them before. They might be younger than I give them credit for, and those movies are older than I care to admit. But watching how they react to them, I'm realizing that, so Ashley Fox, look, guys, I am, in terms of a writer, they say, Shakespeare said that there's 7 plots or 7 stories. Other writing instructors crush it down to just 2. There's love story and revenge stories, or sex and death, which is the easier way to say it. And I know which altar I worship at. My fiction is all about Santa Muerte, which I guess is a combination of the two. At least Ashley is. She's Santa Muerte. Whereas the new stuff I'm doing is the main characters started off being named War and Death. And that's where the story goes. That's what, as a guy, that's what I'm focused on. What I need to do is find my audience. I'm never going to attract even 50% of the audience. I only need 10%. 10%, and I can do this without fear of Talmudic, wizardry in what's going on in Canada, where they can make this, where theoretically if the wrong person watched this, they could say, we don't like what's in his head, put him in prison forever. But all the cool kids are already canceled. So find your audience. What are you looking forward to? Gratitude. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to Mowgli and Ricky for airing out that whole thing. I know what I heard the story about what happened with Chris and the drama. So real quick, let me explain this. And I hate airing out other people's dirty laundry. I have no place to be doing this, but I love these guys, and this is from a place of respect. A couple guys, skaters, were renting a house together, and one of them had to move out, and the other one said, okay, well, I know it's in your name, but I'm not ready to, I don't know what he said, but I can imagine being in his shoes and being like, dude, I can't move out right now. I'll move some friends in and we'll cover it. His friends moved in and never paid the rent. And basically, what your friends will do is punk you until you have to fight them and be laughing at you the whole time. And these are your friends that you grew up with. And that's what they'll do. And so the friend who moved out, they ran up the rent. It got super expensive. They got evicted, whatever. He got owed a bunch of money. The money got paid back. I don't even know if I could have. I owe so many people so much money. My family members for rent, times my rent was late. Not as much as this guy owed, but this guy paid it back already. I don't know how he did that. So mad respect for getting that debt paid back to a friend. Mad respect for you guys talking about forgiveness and getting right with your friends. That's so important. That's so important. Teamwork is everything. Money is nothing. Teamwork and friends, that's if you don't have that, you end up in a race war. And that's what the bad guys on top of this world are trying to do. They're trying to start a race war. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Everybody wants to hang out and be friends and be cool. Only the rich benefit from that, and they're the only ones who want it. You know? So, yeah. Shout out. Wildwood Tarot. We'll get to you sooner or later. And Hunter S. Thompson. We'll get to him soon too. And Hattori Hanzo. We'll talk about this next time. I think that's a lot for tonight. I gotta edit this. All right. Love you guys. See you later.